You are now listening to Carly's Couch.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy. This week on Carly's Couch, we're speaking with Taurean Nixon, entrepreneur, former Super Bowl winner, creative, athlete, all the things. I know, he definitely need that.
Sick.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank y'all
Taurean.
I appreciate it.
So excited that my homeboy T is in the building.
Before we get all up into his story and everything in the episode, we always start with a question from the couch. So this week's question was, and you get ready, Taurean, because you'll answer it too. Okay. I feel like you're going to have a good answer. You can lead us into the episode, basically. Is, what do you do to build confidence in yourself?
Dun, dun, dun. So first off, we have a morning mantra. I have a reminder set to repeat my phrase 3 times out loud.
That's cool. Another person said they buy expensive things that most people can't afford, then make plans to buy even more expensive things people can't afford. And I've been doing this since I was a kid. And actually that I do that too. So
okay.
And not stuff that people can't afford, but this is actually a irresponsible habit that we have actually. So talk to me after this. But I feel like I need to buy something sometimes, and it just makes me feel like, see, I got, you know,
I'm about to say,
I
is
got
that
it, I can do what I
irresponsible, or
want to
is
do.
that manifesting?
It's not manifesting, it's using your money to buy something.
But I mean, you're in the mindset of like, I got the money to do this.
Yeah. Why not? But okay.
Okay. Someone else said that they learn and they teach. Someone else cut grass. Oh, I guess these are activities.
I don't know why he said cut grass. One of my friends, it's like, what do you do to build confidence? Cut grass. But maybe, no, hold up though. When you see that lawn,
I was about to say, hold on, y'all. Do y'all remember Keon, who was on the podcast, Keon Taylor? This man's close friend stories on Instagram are all his lawn.
For real?
That is all he cares about. He was like, I know
said,
y'all on here for some things, but he cares about his lawn so much.
In the South, they care about the lawn.
Well, in the South, they have a lawn.
Yeah, they have.
First of all. First big difference. But Keon, no, for real. So you should think about live streaming, cutting your yard, because that's the next wave in social. And there's literally people who will tune in to watch.
I would.
Like, Tap Social only needs 10%.
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
But I don't know. So yeah, cut grass, paint, run, write, cook, and listen to music. So I'm assuming those are maybe things that this person's good at, because for me too, like when I do things I know I'm good at, it's like, I got it, you know? Another thing a friend said for me is currently just affirming I can only get stronger. So also, I guess, looking at themselves and coaching themselves.
Okay. Someone said, I looked at this and said nothing and then realized the problem. LOL.
Yeah, it was like, she's like, damn it, Lex. I was going to say nothing. Another person said, pretend I'm an anime main character. And I've actually done that before too, because they always get that point where they go into a main speech and sometimes it'd be like, Lex, you know you can do this. All you have to do is hit this button and then you'll be able to do this agenda in 2 minutes and you'll be ready for this meeting. And then nobody can stop you. And you got to do all that and then you'll be good.
I love it. And that's right on brand for you too. Let's see. Meditate, workout, travel. We got another workout.
That's real.
And then someone said, watch old film of myself and remind myself what I'm capable of. And then the last one, shout out to my homeboy Asa. He replied with a meme, and I'll show T too. It says, it's him, and he's like looking down with his hands up, kind of like he's meditating or worshiping, and then there's all these ancestors behind him, and he said, this is the power we carry. Our ancestors are always with us. We gonna have Asa on here because he been showing out way too much for us to not have him on here.
Carly, I'm gonna ask you next though. What do you do when you need to build confidence in yourself, if you even think about it like that?
If I look at my life, all the things I do kind of build confidence. And I'll double down on things like working out, because I always push myself further than I think I can go. I can always do more, doing what I say I'm gonna do, like building up confidence within myself, being a good person, like all the things. Yeah, just I think everything that I do kind of reinforces. But I like that the person looks at film, because I feel like that's such a great way whenever you're anxious or having imposter syndrome or really doubting yourself, just reminding yourself like, I'm that girl. What about you?
For me, when I need confidence, I make a short to-do list. So that way I'm like, boom, 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 and everything gets crossed off. So thus far this week, like I've had real short to-do lists, and every day I'm like, bet I did everything I said I was going to do. Also, sticking to my workout / running schedule. So just every time you get your thing done, then it feels like, oh, okay, like we're good. So I will agree with you that it's doing the things I say I'm going to do. And so when I know I need to make sure I have a boost, I am intent on what I say I'm going to do. And don't try to do too much.
And I know you be looking at that back picture you posted too.
Period.
Yeah.
That was an accident. That was an accident. My muscles popping crazy.
That's crazy. That's dope though. That's good. Like for women to have back muscles is fire. You feel me? Because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of hard work for women to have back muscles.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To actually have like nice defined muscles. Yes.
Oh.
Because we're a lot usually like softer. Like it's harder to
it is.
define.
It is soft. Please believe.
No.
But when I'm in formation and doing the actual things, then it's like, oh. And when you outside in 90-degree heat and the sun glistening and give you a little extra teaching on the muscles, then you got to capture that.
That's special.
Look, we love it. All right, T, what's your answer? What do you do to build confidence in yourself?
I'm like the homie said, I think the athlete in me. So I'm all about getting reps. So it's like, what can I do or what am I trying to build confidence towards? And then doing reps around that, like continuing every day to just put the rep in. And then as I continue to put the reps in, then I start to become a little bit more confident as I go. So I feel like for me, it's like reps. I'm a big rep person. Like the more I do something, the more confident I become in that. You know? So,
yeah, practice makes better.
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I love that because it makes me think about the little graph of consistency. It's not the same level every day. It's just showing up every day.
I think somebody said 1% better every day.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you got to be.
Look, I don't even think about like that. I think about just do it every day.
Yeah.
if I get it done, that's not the only way I can disappoint myself, but if I put any stipulation on how it goes, then there's a chance. But for me, I'm like, if I just check the thing off, then I'm good. So I try to focus on the process part and like doing it, doing something.
I like that. I think for me, that athlete side just adds to it. Because for us, it was like, it had to look better than the last rep. You know, so I think that right there is like grace. Yours is like a grace. Like,
and then maybe because you're at a different level then too. Because for me, the unathlete in me is like, I don't even want to get up and do the rep. So to do the rep, my rep might be read a page. My rep might be read the chapter. But I did something. And that way, at the end of whatever period, I'll definitely be able to look back and be like, oh, I'm better because I touched it every day.
I love that.
Yo, look at all this inspiration. And we not even through the bio yet. Y'all welcome.
Y'all don't even know who we talking to.
Y'all don't even know. But y'all about to. Okay, so Taurean Nixon, or T, is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's an entrepreneur, nonprofit founder, public speaker, mental health advocate, and holistic wellness advocate, and a former Super Bowl winner. T attended college at the University of Memphis in Tulane on a football and track scholarship, got drafted into the NFL in 2015, won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, shout out to you, in 2016, and then exited the NFL before the 2019 season due to mental health and wanting to pursue other endeavors. That time took him through a dark journey that allowed him to find himself and start his self-help journey. He started reading more into mental health, Chinese medicine, personal development, etc. And since football has started and exited a fashion brand, now co-owns a tea company called Standstill Tea, formed a nonprofit called Respectfully Selfish, and more public speaking, corporate wellness, and all around mental health. And other than that, he also has food pop-ups and creates dope beverage concepts with his friends.
Cool. I love that it sounds like everything you do has a certain style on it. Like the way things are named, the way they all go together. It sounds very lifestyle oriented.
Yes.
So I want to, sorry, Carly, because I'm starting the random ass question now. I want to start by asking you to describe your lifestyle right now.
I would say my lifestyle right now just consists of daily gratitude. First thing in the morning, gratitude before I even get out of bed. And from there, it's journal. Then from journaling, it's mantras. It's like I'm really into astrology right now. I'm in my astrology bag. I think it's a cheat code. That like me being a black guy from the South, I would never think that that'd be something that I'd turn to. So if I have my faith, I have astrology, I have, all these different modalities that I'm learning to make me a little bit better. So I go through all that. I'm reading all the time. Like I feel like I was someone that never read. So I have to schedule in my reading in the morning, and then I read every night before I go to bed. And if I can't read, if I don't feel like reading, it's podcast at night. And then from there, I'm going into gym, yoga, either one. I'm back and forth between those two. And then breakfast. I'm vegetarian right now, so I've been vegetarian for like a year and a half. So my breakfast and my lunch and my dinner is pretty fun to me because I used to cheat a lot because I could just go get food from anywhere, but like now I have to be very intentional. And from there, I'm starting my day just based on what we have going on at the office with the tea company, because that's my everyday is on the tea company. So pretty much that for the bulk of the day. And then from there, I'm coming back home, relaxing, checking in. I love my family. I love my friends. You know, I love people. So I'm always like checking in and like having some long conversation that end up going way longer than it needs to. So like that's why I love LA. Traffic, podcasts, and conversations is beautiful. So that's like that part of my day. And then I'm kind of going into dinner, like gratitude again for the day. Vibing. Just
I
hanging
love that
out,
structure.
chilling with it.
It's structured, but
Structured chaos, kind of how I go about it.
Okay.
Doing the middle part. The middle,
Okay.
like after that first part, it's like structured chaos from there.
It's
Because
like a foundation.
but you've set your mindfulness at the top, and then have ways to do that throughout and at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah,
And then before we get into the actual conversation again, what's your sign?
I'm Aquarius.
Me too.
Oh, I felt it.
Wait, what day? Not January, are you?
Nah, February. Huh?
Okay.
Let's go.
February what?
7th.
Ooh, I got you by 2 days. Okay, team.
Let's go. That's why we feel.
Welcome.
I feel the vibe when I came in.
Welcome to the Aquarius show.
Right. With nothing but fire in the middle. Y'all are my only 2 Aquarius friends.
For real?
Like for real. Like for real. I don't have no other friends who are Aquarius.
I don't even know.
Too many Aquarius.
I know a few.
I don't.
Yeah.
I
Y'all
don't
my
really know,
only
I don't really
ones.
know too many.
Yeah, so
It's a small month. You know, we don't
Yeah.
have
that's
Yeah.
fair.
it's a lucky month.
Okay, so love this, love the conversation. I love how intentional your days are. But we're gonna rewind because there's a lot of questions we want to ask. But I want to start kind of at the pivot because you've been an athlete your whole life, made it to the NFL. You could have went to the Olympics for track because y'all don't know this, but he was actually better at track than football.
Well, because you were a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That makes sense.
That was my God-given ability.
My
Right.
favorite
Just right.
quarterback was Champ Bailey.
Champion, like GOAT.
That was my
Straight
favorite
goat.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
Look, I didn't even know Lexi liked football, so
Yeah,
shout out
but
to that.
because that was a different life. I don't anymore, but college, man, I used to kill my fantasy football team. Like I used to go crazy every year. I would study all summer and like I was on point.
fire.
But I don't know anything else now. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you anything, but I used to know everything. Because which Super Bowl? That was 50?
15. Yeah, 50. Yeah, 50. Yeah, 50. Yeah.
I was on it back in the day.
Yeah, and then everybody know 50 because Beyonce performed. That was the Beyonce. Super
Ah, okay,
So you got one of the
okay.
coolest.
Bowl. Yeah, cool. In the Bay. So it was a vibe. It was a vibe.
Okay, so you won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You live in a dream or millions of people's dream, right? And you decide to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it felt like
Yeah.
other people's dream more than yours, probably
Yeah,
at some point.
Nah, I did. That's kind of like how I came to it. You know, I would just wake up every day and I just felt like I wasn't living within my purpose in life. You know, it's cool. It was a cool thing, but it got to the point for me where it was taken away from me instead of adding to me. Every day I woke up, it was like a bit of a struggle for me, but I couldn't express that to people because who's gonna understand?
Ungrateful. I wish I could be in that position.
Yeah. And then definitely I really didn't want to like feel like I was letting my parents down either because if your parent, like my dad took me to practice, he coached me, he did like everything, you know, so for me to call him and say like, yo, I don't want to do this anymore, I didn't want to feel like that son that was like disrespecting my father because that's something that we shared together, you know, so it was a big thing for me is, you know, getting him to understand that like this ain't nothing personal between us. It's just something that I'm feeling. When I walked away, I feel like I turned my phone off. Because I didn't want anybody to talk me into it. So only person could get in contact with me was like people that was really super close. And I had already kind of prepped them for what I didn't know when the date was, but I knew it was coming. And I just knew it in my last season. It's like I I gave every day like it was my last. Like I knew that it was about to come to an end for me, and one day I'm gonna walk away from it. So I want to have the best practice. I want to have the best game because like one day I'm a deuce. Yeah.
Okay, so you quit, and at some point, I met you right before.
Okay, so you're a quitter.
No,
Dang.
no, but listen, you know what? This week,
Low key.
Right. So all that
hold on, player. Now
Low-key.
this week was my 9-year quit-anniversary from being an engineer, and
That's
it was
real.
the same
That's so
reasons.
important.
I was not happy. I was not living in my purpose. So I feel you.
I
T.
feel like that. No, I feel like that would connect us when we first started.
that
When we
was
first
it.
met. Yeah,
That
it
was
like
it.
yeah.
I had just graduated from USC. I met him at an NFL party, and
Twitter.
Not you was outside.
Shout out Twitter party. It was a Twitter party, right?
Yeah, it was a Twitter party.
Yeah.
One of my line sisters is a sports agent, and she was there, and I went and I met T, and I was laughing because I was talking to all these players, and we were talking about mental health and self-care and yoga and cooking. She came back and was like, I didn't even know they liked any of that stuff. How did you get them to talk about it? I'm
They
like,
trying to put you in a box.
I don't know,
They
bro.
always trying to put us in the box. For real.
Yeah.
Can you read?
It's like, for real though. It's like it's weird. It's a weird box, man. It's a weird. It's not square. It's like a different type of box.
So how did you, because that's tough and hard, and you said it led you to a dark place. Like, how did you pivot into where you are now? Like, what was that journey? Like, how do you even know where to move forward?
To be honest with you, I think this is about to be the first time I told this story that's recorded. But I was in like the darkest place. Like I remember I was like laying on my apartment floor. At that time I was living in like Reseda area, so I wasn't that far from you. And I was on the floor. I would say I don't feel like I'm strong enough to like ever harm myself. You feel me? But like I was definitely having all them thoughts. Like, but it was more like take me in my sleep. So that's where I was at for real. And one of my friends called me, and she was pregnant at the time, and she was contemplating suicide. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And it was in that moment that I like hopped up, and it was in the process of me being there for her that I found the strength for myself. You know, so after I finished like that conversation, like kept her on the phone, you know, she's good now, you know, had the kid, everything is beautiful. But in me saving her life, I saved my life. And from there, next morning, I beeline to like Barnes and Nobles, bought like a whole bunch of self-help books, whole bunch of books on the brain, suicide, depression, anxiety. And I just wanted to like learn all this stuff. So I just started like cracking books open, just started like going in on like the knowledge that I wanted, because I knew that a lot of players felt like I felt. Like a lot of players want to walk away. A lot of players are in a weird place when it comes to professional sports, you know, but a lot of times they continue to play and stuff like that because they don't have a plan B. You know, they don't have that other support. If they did decide to walk away, like what would they do? Like, who are they? They don't have an identity outside of football and basketball and all this. It's your whole life, right? So for me, it became a thing for me where I wanted to be that guy, because I wasn't known. I was just on teams, but I wasn't known. And I was like, if I could figure this out without having sponsorships and all this stuff, then I feel like I would create the right, you know, playbook for my brothers when they came out the league to be able to, you know, get started in life out there. So yeah, it was literally a phone call that changed my life. Yeah.
That's awesome to think that she was reaching out for help and she saved you at the same time.
Yeah.
And did she know that?
No, she literally told me that you about to be my last call. Like that's how it started. She was like, T, like
it's it.
You my last call. You feel me? And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, you know, like you're not about to, like, I'm laughing now, but I'm like, you're not about to put that on me. Like, I'm about to be your last call. Nah. So we about to figure this out. And in that, like, I feel like that part of me that always been that person that motivated people, like, kind of came to life. I got to see myself in this. Yeah. I used to always see it in, like, being a leader on the field and stuff like that. But, like, that was my first time being, like, a life leader, I felt. You know what I mean? Like, a leader in life.
How old were you at this point?
28, 27, 20,
okay,
yeah,
so
27, 28. Yeah.
I think that's interesting too, because leave it to people like on Twitter and stuff. It's like 25 and 30 is like you're done, you're over.
Yeah.
And so much can happen like as you get older, right? So that I think that's interesting that even at that age, like as you were getting close to your 30s, you still felt a way to still pivot. Yeah. Do you feel like it was immediately like a load off your shoulders, or did it take time to get comfortable with that decision and like get into this new world that you were starting to explore?
It took forever. It took a long time. Like it took a very long time because I had no plan B. and when I look back at it, I'm like, yo, you was wild. But I had like no plan B. And I feel like before that, I kind of cut off a lot of relationships that I probably could have called and been like, yo, help me out. Because I didn't want that. Like I wanted to kind of sit in that. And for however long that was going to take, I was down to endure it. So yeah, I had like no backup plan. And it took me about, I want to say like a year and a half to like 2 years before I really kind of got back going. But even in that, I realized I didn't even know how to be like a regular human. Like I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to be a friend, like little stuff like that. I didn't know how to like pull up to a spot and have to like low key wait to get in. Like, you know, like
man,
little stuff like that.
You know, I remember my first experience was that recently. I was like, oh, this ain't it. Oh, this ain't it.
Yeah.
This is what peasants be feeling like.
And I'm not even trying to like talk about it.
$25 for a drink. I was like, what?
Yeah, like,
happening?
And that's how it was. So just even like go and meet people, and now I'm meeting people that like a Carly that want to actually have a conversation, and it's not about like, oh, I know who you are, or like, oh, I know your friends,
or what you can do for me.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a year in itself of just learning how to be around people. And I tell people like I just turned 33 in February, and I was like. Yeah, it's been a crazy year so far, but I just turned 33 and I feel like I'm just now coming out of retirement. I feel like I've been, like, it's crazy to say that. Like, one of my friends told me, like, bro, you've been in retirement. And like, when you think about retirement, you think like you 50, 60, 70 years old. Yeah, and it's like, I retired when I was like 27. Like, so, you know, so it's wild to think like that. Like, and I feel like now I'm just now being able to like, feel like I'm where I want to be. So I would say it took like almost like 5 years, 5-6 years, yeah.
That's beautiful. So actually, I was going to save this for later, but I'll say it now. So I went to one of Taurean's events for Respectfully Selfish. And it's a lot about self-care and prioritizing yourself. And we have a lot of deep conversations, but you get to meet people. It's a whole vibe. It's beautiful. But I remember telling him then that like, I remember when we first became friends and you told me this was something you wanted to do, like this and the tea company and all the things that you're doing right now, you like set the vision. And so we made an episode based off of our conversation and how proud I was of you. And it was about learning to give your friends flowers now while they're alive. So you didn't know it, but we have a whole episode based off of you actualizing your vision.
Wow, that's wild. Nah, thank you.
Yeah. And what made me think about it is a lot of the stuff that you do is about self-help, self-love, and self-acceptance. And I want to hear about your journey because I know that that's something coming out of the NFL, coming off of retirement and all that completely changing life paths. You were struggling with that.
Yeah.
So how has that journey been and what have you done to help you get there?
It's so crazy to think about that I could make it to where I made it to in life. And I realize now that I don't feel like I love myself during that time. Like I think I just started loving myself, or even knowing what that means. I was telling somebody yesterday that there's a lot of emotions that I'm just now feeling for the first time, you know, and it's crazy. Like
or even allowing yourself to.
Exactly. But for me, that really just took being open and then putting myself around people that inspired me, because I'm inspired by people. Like I love the stories of people. Like I watch so many documentaries because I want to know how people, what did they go through? What was that trauma? What's the switch? What was the mechanism that got them to where they are? So for me, I realized when I stopped playing ball, I didn't know who I was. And the only way to like build your identity back is to actually feel. So I had to learn how to feel. I had to like put myself in situations that were uncomfortable. You know, like I went to the middle of the desert with some people and like had a whole come to Jesus moment out in the middle of Death Valley National Park because I was really looking for something. I was looking for myself. And it's just been this crazy journey of reading and talking. And I had that conversation with friends where you call and you're like, yo, what you think I'm good at? What can I change about myself? What you don't like about me?
What are my
like,
strengths?
And I had some friends that just was real. Like, yo, T, you suck at this and you da-da-da. I'm like, whoa. And I really took all of that and I wrote it all down. And then I started working on every part of that. So even my nonprofit being called Respectfully Selfish it wasn't until I became selfish that I found out who I was. And it wasn't selfish in the sense of how people think about being selfish. It's like, oh, it's all about me. It was like, nah, it was all about like learning who I was so that I could show up better in society for everybody I'm around. Like, and I had a friend, you met Peter. Peter told me one time we was in the car, and I never forget, we was like kind of in that Glendale area where you see like the Mickey Mouse hat off the highway. And he was like, T, you suck at being a friend. You feel me? And I was like, and then he started talking to me about like how a friendship is a relationship, you know, and then there's levels of even intimacy in those friendships, you know, even if it's male, it's like, it's hugs, it's the conversations, it's things like that. And I just started to really take what I was learning from people and things that I liked about them, and I just asked them to teach it to me. Like, yo, I like how you handle that. Like, I had a friend named Patrick, I was at his crib, and him and his wife had an interaction, and she came up to him and she was like, I need a hug, you know, and he got up and he hugged and they like walked off, and they just took a little walk and came back, and they like checked in with each other. I'm like, oh, that was dope, you know. So then they came back, I'm like, yo, what's up with that? Like, how? And she was like, yeah, it's like, I don't think that he's supposed to guess. Yeah. Like, if I needed that, why should I?
Yes.
Yeah, ask.
Absolutely.
And then he knows me, so we meet each other halfway, and now we both happy. But if I would have just been looking at him, you know, and like, he don't know, he's hosting, right? He has 10 friends he's talking to. He wouldn't have never knew. And I was like, so I just started like being a culture vulture of like all the things that I wanted to put in my bag. And like I say, I go back to the athlete thing all the time. It's like, you say like Champ Bailey, like I watched so much of Champ Bailey's film to try to be like him on the field. So it became to a point to where like my friends and people around me became the film for me. So I started to study them and I just started to mimic them. I'm like, why wouldn't I want to be like my friends? That's weird. And I think for so many people, they don't want to be like their friends. Like, that's weird to me. So everybody around me, I could tell you like what I stole from them. And I've made it who I am. And I feel like that's how I became who I am now.
Yeah, and I think you do a good job about telling your friends that too.
Yeah.
Like the things you like about them and the things you like seeing.
One thing that comes across is that you seem to be very curious, and that if you have a question, you're going to ask or figure it out or look into it. So would you say that while you were playing sports ball, you just didn't have time to do that? You just weren't thinking about that? And or was it just, it was such a focused thing that was all you was focused on? Like was there, looking back, do you not feel like you were thinking any of those thoughts until you were completely done with it? Yeah,
like I think that for me, I was doing some of this stuff, but it had to be kind of hidden. Like if you think about a lot of athletes, like,
so like the environment wasn't right for that.
Yeah, and I think that I feel like there's so many athletes that's dope at other things, but they can't even put it out. Like it's like stick to ball, like shut up and do this. But it's so for me, definitely being someone that I got drafted 7th round, so every day for me was a fight. You know, so for me to come out and say like, oh, I'm curious about X, Y, and Z, it'll seem like I'm
you
not.
Better get curious about them reps.
Exactly.
You better get curious about them dumbbells.
Exactly. You know, so for me, it's like when I showed up in the facility, I always had to be perfect. And I think that that's where my crash came, where it was like, people don't understand. I put together years of being as perfect as I could be every day, because every day for me, I could have got cut. I wasn't a player that got signed and I know I'm good. Like even at practice, I used to make mistakes at practice, not because I wasn't prepared. I used to make mistakes because it was just like life or death.
So much pressure.
Yeah. So it's like, instead of me like getting in my drop and doing that, I'm trying to like make a pick to like put myself in a nut. You know, I'm gonna make them talk about
That's
me.
so interesting because to say like you showed up perfect every day. To think about comparing these two spaces of I'm showing up being perfect every day, and now it's like you have permission to be a work in progress, and you're an obvious work in progress when you can ask people like, oh, I want to learn this, or I'm trying to understand and be more open and feel. And so applying this to myself thinking about it and for listeners listening, I wonder if that does just take like a big load off your shoulders, just be like in a space where you are not necessarily trying to be perfect, but you are still trying to do something.
It's like, go back to what we talked about, like you said, process. You know what I mean? I wish that when I played ball, I wish I would have fell more in love with the process instead of being perfect. You know what I mean? Like, that was the piece for me. I just wish I would have went to practice every day and like, yo, if I make the mistake, it's all good, bro. Like, if they got rid of you, it's all good. This the process. This is your story. You're writing but like, instead of that, I had in my mind that I needed to be on. And that's when eventually one day it just kind of, it just blows up, you know? And I made more mistakes that way than when I was. And I think the cool part that I learned on my way out, I would say my last year, I was chilling. Like, I was chilling. Like, you couldn't get me to be, like, anxious. You couldn't get me to be anxious at practice. I'm chilling. Like, because I knew I was done. In my mind, like, I'm done, you know? So I'm chilling. And that right there kind of was that way that helped me segue into life, to be, like, asking questions. Because that's when I really started talking to my teammates and stuff. That's when I started, like, really having big brothers in the locker room, because I didn't care what they felt about me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo.
That makes a big difference, too, when you stop caring. Or rather, I would say when you care about yourself more than other people. Would you say your definition of success has changed?
Yes. Yeah. Like, my definition of success is waking up every day just being who you are. We put success to like achievements and money and stuff like that, but it's so hard for people to be themselves. So I feel like that's the success. If you truly wake up every day and you say that I'm being who I am every day, you've hit success. You know what I mean? Now, the thing about it is, it's like figuring out how to play the game, because it's a game after that. Like, a lot of things in life is a game. It's like, where do you fit in and how can you make moves to like achieve the achievements and the money, the cars, and all the things that people into. But like, I think the success for me is just like every day waking up being who I am, and then also not being afraid to share that knowledge, and also share, just that energy with people.
And those other pieces of success come more easily when you do that first part of just being yourself, honestly. Because it's like all of a sudden you realize, like, I don't have to do all that extra efforts of trying and mask and all the anxiety. And it's just, you show up. Yeah,
the things find you. Like, it's like that attraction. It's like, I think Joey Badass said it in the song, and it's like one of my favorite things. He said, all my dreams, I'm just trying to meet them halfway. You know what I mean? And I think that first part of just being yourself and reaching that part, everything else meets you halfway, because it knows that you're showing up as who you are. Because it gets hard to, and I feel like that goes back to ball. I feel like it got to a point to where, like, I wasn't meeting ball halfway. I was trying to be something that I wasn't in a way. You know what I mean? And that's when you can't
fit the square piece into the circle.
You can't do it. You can't do it. But once I like step back, like, and say my last year, I just was like, yo, I'm just trying to meet it halfway. And that's when things started working out. But by that time, I was already mentally checked out. I was like, I'm out.
But being mentally checked out allowed you to do that.
Yeah,
which is so cool. And to get rid of that. Because we always talk about on the podcast, like, when you have really needy energy, or you need something to work to win or to do
desperation.
This. Yeah, then you pushing everything away from you. That is not the same frequency. It can absolutely not meet you.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Needy energy.
It is, and you know, like in whatever it is, yes,
It's never a good place to be.
Never a
it
good
never
place.
feels
Money,
good.
like nowhere. It's like, oh, it's gotta work, and then it don't work, or something happen and it goes away.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of like removing that veil that we so often get stuck in about trying to feel like we gotta be a certain way to be successful or to be loved or to be accepted, and how like the real key is just being yourself in that.
That's it. But a lot of people haven't, and that's why I like the whole like respectfully selfish thing. A lot of people haven't done the work to figure out who they are. A lot of us are looking for relationships and all these things to kind of like take away from us sitting with ourselves. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that that's the big piece for me, where I was just like, I'm down to let all this shit go. I'm sorry, but like,
You good?
yeah, I'm down to let it all. Yeah, I'm down to let it all go, and like kind of like build myself back new. And now if I show up as that person, then that's who I am. But like a lot of us feel like we need all these exterior like accessories in a sense to be who we are. Like we need somebody at the house telling me I love me for me to love myself. You know what I mean? Like I need to love myself before someone is at the house. I need to meet all the things, what they say, like be who you want to attract.
Yeah.
You feel
Every
me?
time.
Like, yeah. And I think that that's major. I think that that's what's that piece that I feel like I kind of cracked the code to, like being what and like everything in my life right now that's going on, I owe it to like me just being what I want to attract.
And I know you practice meditation, and that I'm assuming kind of goes in line also with some of the work you're doing with nonprofit and tea company, et cetera. But that's one thing I think is really important about meditation, because it wasn't until I attempted to meditate that I realized I was never still, like literally never still. And I was like, oh shoot, like staying still for 10 seconds even was like, oh wow, like that's the most I've done. And then to do a minute or 20 minutes or whatever it is. And also in meditation, seeing like really where your mind goes and recognizing that it's really all these other things that's kind of taking over instead of like hearing yourself. And so that's one thing I would recommend to people is looking into meditation as a way, if you're in that space where it's like, dang, who am I? And trying to hear myself. And can you talk about your journey with that, with meditation, and maybe the role that it plays in the work you're doing?
Yeah, like honestly, how I got into the tea company was the homies that my partners now introduced me to this form of tea pouring called like gung fu, which is taking a very small teapot, filling it with a lot of tea, and then doing like these quick pours. And I learned how to meditate that way because I needed something to focus on. I, like you, I was all over the place. So when I took the time to like get everything, set it all up, get the water, and all that became a part of my meditative practice. So by the time I was drinking the tea, I was so like I felt myself just coming down. And by the time I would like drink a couple of cups, I would kind of already be in meditation. So that's really what's the part in how I hit them up and like, yo, I want to be a part of the tea company. Because like I want to teach people the wellness side of tea drinking, you know, because like a lot of times all teas taste different. Like everybody's into different things, but the one thing that tea brought me was the sense of peace. And I feel like everybody that ever came around and experienced that with me, they felt peace, even if they didn't like the tea. And so that was the first part of it. And then I really got into meditating, and it just like it just helped me really sit with myself. Like I say, the things came up of who I was. But like now I have a friend, I don't think you've met him yet, Day. I don't know if you met Day. I think he was out of town when we did the Respectfully Selfish, but he's another like beautiful human that came into my life at this time where I was like needing that next piece. And now he's been like a spiritual teacher for me that's been kind of taking my meditation game to the next level. And it's just with the, you know, different breath, like the mindset of how I go into it, like the intentions of going into it. Like sometimes not having intention, just sitting, sometimes being guided. Sometimes, and like it's been times I pull up on him and he'll take me through a guided meditation on how he felt like I showed up. You know, so it's like I've played with so many forms of meditation, and I think that it's all like, it's just, I feel like I'm so thankful that we're in this part of life where we are learning these modes, because our parents didn't. You know what I mean? And like, so meditation for me and whoever's listening is something that's truly beautiful. And if you could learn how to find whatever you need to get yourself still, like light a candle, stare at the light, stare at the, you know, it's like certain different things, like put a light on, like if you have a light in your kitchen, like zone out to that. It's like different ways to like zone out, or like try to hear yourself breathe. That was another one that helped. And just get to that point to where you meditate for a second, then 10 seconds, then a minute, and like listen to those thoughts. Like a lot of people like try to clear your mind. It's like I just listen to. I just listen because, like I said, I don't know if that's an Aquarius energy, but it's just be somebody that's talking all the time. So I don't even try to shut him or her or them up. I just let them do their thing, and I just kind of sit with that. And I feel like they have been that voice that's been letting me know who I am. Yeah.
So it sounds like, in general, you have found ways to figure out some peaceful moments, mindful moments, etc. And yet, business is business. There's money to be made. How do you show up for work and like putting your energy into that, right? It may not seem as strenuous as football, yet do you still feel a need to, like, you know, got to perform, got to hit quotas, got to do my job, talk about work, business.
Yeah, like the big thing for me that's been a blessing is, even when I was in the fashion company, I started that with my homie Thrash, and he's killing it right now. Like it's so beautiful to see that, you know, I felt like I was the foundation in that situation. But the big thing about that was we were both like, gave each other grace. You know, we understood that we was both learning how to be CEOs, how to be entrepreneurs. And that's the big thing to jump, like fast forward to my partners now. We give each other a lot of grace to feel like, yo, like we all learning this together. And we have like more of a family sense. So it's like, I'm like my brother and my sister. You feel me? So it's like, if we bicker or go back and forth with each other, we just know that that's just that moment. And we try to let our friendship like lie on that. But when it really comes to business and getting after it, it's like I kind of go into it with that same mindset as let's ball. Like I could zone out. Like I have this switch. And when I flip that switch, like I'm all go mode. And when I'm in go mode, I tell people around me, like, this is my superpower. This go mode that I have, just fit in. You feel me? And that's when I'm leading the project. But then when they lead a project, I come back and that's when I learn to be a teammate. Right. So like now I know how to come back and be a teammate and let you take the lead. I don't have to, like, you know, go against what you, you know, it's like I'm gonna go at your pace, because I feel like my biggest thing is my pace is crazy. Like, it's like I don't even have to sleep. I don't even need to sleep. You know what I mean? And it's like I take a nap, but I wake back up with that same energy. And I realized that other people are not like that. So I had to learn how to go in a good flow. But in business, it's you're on a 24-hour clock. So right now I could get a call and leave here and have to go handle some business. But that's like what I chose, you know what I mean? So I tell a lot of people it's this freedom thing that I like. But then I also like that in order for me to pay my bills every month, that meant that I had to put the work in. I like putting myself in that pressure, though, like almost like a diamond, you know, take pressure. So I like being in those pressure situations. So I think that entrepreneurship for me is like a dope thing. And I hope one day that I'm in this place to where like I've built like some very, very successful things to where I can help other people like build really cool things, because I just think it all starts with an idea, and then it's all work ethic and believing in yourself and not being afraid to take L's, because you're gonna take them. L's are what's needed. That's where the growth happens.
Okay, so you started and exited a fashion company. You have a tea company. You have Respectfully Selfish. I know you also were training and doing community events and running classes and doing stuff. As a multi-passionate person, how do you know what to move? Because I am too, right? But how do you know what to move forward into a business? How do you know what to keep hobbies? Because I feel like also something that people be struggling with. Yeah, how do you know? Because we always got do all the way around. But like, how do you know where to go?
So for me, I don't know if I read this somewhere. A lot of stuff come to me in meditation. A lot of stuff come to me in dreams. So I can't pinpoint where I know this from, but I set my life up as a triangle, like my name in the middle. And then like for me, the first thing is like business, like how I'm making money. And the next one is like, what am I passionate about at that time? Like, what do I really care about? And like, what what am I trying to accomplish, or like who am I trying to help? And then from there, it's like the hobby. So that's like my 3. So I go work, and then something that I want to put out into the world. And then the next thing is like what I do to, like, I'm trying to learn a lesson, or I always try to keep a lesson. So my hobby is always a lesson. So like people taking up golf. Like golf, I feel like the lesson in golf is like every day is gonna be different. no matter how good you played yesterday, today, tomorrow, you could be trash. So I always keep that. So I go business, and then the things that I put in that second spot is all based on like what am I trying to achieve, or who am I trying to help. And like right now, I just feel like I want to help people that's my age, like understand that whatever you want to do is still possible, but you have to like literally make that decision. And if you have, because a lot of people blame it on a job, a lot of people blame it on all these things. And like I've seen guys, I've seen women, I've seen people like make it to high levels with families, with husbands, with kids, with, you know, but it took that grit. That probably was that person that once they put the kids to bed at 9, they was up until 2 a.m. and then was back up at 6. Then, you know, but they knew that it was something that they wanted to change their reality. And I think that's that big thing for me is like, what am I trying to accomplish? And I got good at delegating too. So if I want to do like things, I just do better at delegating. Like even in the company now, like my business partner asked me something to do something. And if I feel like there's something else that I kind of want to do, I ask him, could I pay somebody to do my part? You feel me? I'd be like, well, I split my part. I split my percentage right now for this project with somebody else, bring them in so I can free up a little bit of my time, because I know I need to do this, because that allows me to be a better, you know, co-worker. Like co-owner with you. You know, so I done got really good at just like figuring out like my rotation, and that's like the big piece. Like definitely when you have like a lot of things you're passionate at, but pick one at a time though. Pick one. Pick like I said, I go 3, but like pick those things and then stick to them, and then like find something that you could just plug into. Like don't take it fully out. Like be able to just plug things and like try things in that same world. Yeah.
I love that. It sounds like the whole like guiding force and energy that has, you know, been bringing all this magic into your life is centering yourself always.
Yeah. That's the main piece. That's the main piece, like centering, like being still, listening. I used to not listen. I used to talk too much. And now I just listen. Like that's my new thing at events I go to. I try not to talk. Because I feel like I'm the type of person that if people having small talk, I spend the whole convo.
Look, that's how we friends, because
Taurean, what would you say to people listening who's like, yeah, all this sounds cool, and like, you know, get into focus on yourself, work on nonprofit and with your friends and have company, but you played for the NFL. Of course, like it's easy for you to be able to probably do anything now. Like what would you say to somebody if that's what they're thinking, and keeping in mind like they may be coming from a place where it's harder to see like those possibilities for themselves?
Yeah, it's crazy because I knew this would be like a big question for me in places. So like when I left the NFL, I would say I did this project called Going Broke. I like gave all my money away. You know what I mean? So I like started all the way over because I wanted to be able to be at that place where I started from ground zero. I wasn't known in the NFL, right? So it was only so many people gonna answer the phone when I walked away. And then now I got rid of a lot of my financials. I got rid of a lot of the cars and everything like that. So now I I strip myself back down to like a regular person so that I could like answer a question like this. I feel like it still comes back to understanding who you are and what you want to bring to the world. Because a lot of us have, our mindsets are centered around like what we want to obtain, materials. But for me, I always think about like people understanding what they want to bring to the world, and then those things will come with that. So it's almost like the meeting halfway again. But I would just say like to get started is figuring out what you know that you need and like going hard into the knowledge and the understanding of that. You feel me? I would say like it's the lessons. I'm always a student. It's being a student. If you know you want to be an entrepreneur, it's like what books are you reading? You know, if you want to get into holistic health, like what books are you reading? Who are you listening to? What podcasts are you know, listening to? Who's your friends? Like the friend group is big. I'm someone that have a whole new friend group now. And like I said, I learned a lot from them. And that's when I had nothing. That I was like on some of my friends' couches, but I wanted to see them run a big time company. So I would roll off their couch and walk in and watch them go through meetings and stuff like that. Cause I just wanted to be a sponge. So I would tell anybody that's in that place where they saying like, oh yeah, like you did all this, but it's like, nah, like you have to, what do you want to show up for? And what will you give your all to? And if you can figure that out, then that's the first part of it. It's like it's like knowing what it is, and then like it's the idea, then it's the preparation, then it's the, you know, so it's all about creating that for me. I feel.
And if you need help even knowing what that is, because sometimes that could be a loaded question, really thinking about, like you said before, what are the things you're most curious about, or what are the things you're good at? And sometimes you do need to have other people tell you. I had brunch the other day with a guy who works with me on my team. He was like, you are so good at just keeping calm all the time. And in meetings, you never seem stressed. And I was like, pardon? But I was like, okay. Like, I was like, I actually feel like I'm pretty, you know, stressed a lot. And then you seem like you're pretty cool. He's like, no, I be so stressed. And I'm like crying at night because I got to think about this agenda we got to write the next day. And I'm like, yeah, I just go to sleep and be like 2 minutes before. I'll be like, it's going to be all right. And I was like, I guess you just got to that point. But I was like, you know what, keep going, because it's good to hear other people, what they think about what your superpowers are. Yeah. And that helps you to understand like where now you can put those to use and then see like how things move for you. So definitely tap into other people. Sometimes your relationships with other people, which it seems it has occurred to you in different ways, also helps you to learn about yourself.
And make whatever you into cool.
Yeah.
Because like I think a lot of people look at athletes, they look at like now being an influencer. It's like so I think a lot of people look at these lives and be like, I want that. But you can want that and you can achieve that in whatever you're into. Just be dope. Like, you know, holistically, like be holistically dope, you know? And I feel like that's what it comes down to. I feel like for me, I just try to make things that a lot of people wouldn't look at as cool. And so I'm always curious about new things. And if I learn something, it's like, yo, how could I make this cool? How could I make this accessible? How could I make this something that people, you know, want to look into? So it's like even tea. It's funny to me when I show up at events now, and it's people come and holler at me saying like, "Yo, I learned tea from you." I'm like, "Whoa, that's crazy!" But like it's just something that I was like into, you know. So I would just tell people like try and for real, try things. Like try a lot of things. Like literally try things, and that would really help me. Oh
yeah, thanks, Carly. Because I was about to wrap this up, but my last random question, because I saw this in my research. Do you still want to be an actor?
Oh.
And
you crazy.
Don't let me tell you where I seen this. It was deep.
It was deep. I know where you seen it at too, because I just came across it again. So I know,
and it brings stuff back up. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah, no. So it's like it's been crazy stuff happening in life like that. But like I think that's my next like calling for real. I feel like I've been acting my whole life. So I want to.
Might as well get a check for it.
I want to. And it really, in like quick story, but it really sparked because one of my friends got a gig, and I was like helping him prep for the gig, right? And I'm sitting there like, man, I can do this. Right.
I be doing the same thing. I be helping my friends, but they have dishes too. I be like, should have been me.
so as I'm sitting there helping him with it, he go and do it. Him and his girl get the part, right? So I'm like, oh, that's dope. So he called me like, yo, T, we got it. I'm like, oh yeah, sick. I'm like, I'm gonna come with y'all on the trip or whatever. He's like, yeah. So then he calls me a week later. He's like, yo, she backed out. I'm gonna put your name in, right? So I'm like, all right, bet, just for the friend though. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I do it. And like I had the time of my life doing it, right? And this was just like sending in a little audition tape. And I'm like, yo, this sick. So then I had to call back like the next day. And I'm sitting there with all the producers on the phone call. I'm like, oh, this is sick, you know? And the whole time it's funny because I think they expected me to like kind of be getting them to like feel some type of way about me, but I'm like looking at the camera like, yo, this is dope. I'm like, yo, my inner child going crazy. I'm like, yo, so you do what? They like, we trying to interview you. And you like, but then that right there led to last week I met with like a casting agent that was from that call, you know, and she was just like, yo, like you have something, and she was like, I'm trying to pinpoint it, and then she was like, you should look into this, and we had like this deep conversation about it. So for you to bring this back up, I feel like that's next.
So T, at the end of every episode, we do shout outs. So first of all, thank you so much for spending your time joining us. We have enjoyed your energy, you sharing your stories, your heart with us always. But now I want to ask you, what can our listeners, how can we support you? What do you want them to do? Do they need to follow something? Do they need to show up to a T event? What's good?
Tell us the website.
Tell us
the
all
handles,
the things. I'm writing it down. What's up?
I'm going to tell y'all straight up first. Like, I always tell people, I'll be like, don't follow me, follow yourself. That's like the big thing. I really want people to show up for themselves. For real. And if you have extra bandwidth, then you can pull up to something that I'm doing. But right now,
I just got on the email list or something.
Oh yeah,
one of them.
So the T company, Standstill T, standstill.t on Instagram. I would say we're more of a experiential tea brand. So a lot of stuff that we've been doing now have been like food and beverage pairings with tea. Respectfully Selfish, about to be popping back up. I've been doing Sting called Selfish Sunday, so I'm about to get that back going. What else going on?
When the next pop-up? When you cooking again?
Oh, I don't know when I'm cooking again. I want to do something though. I've been thinking about like I want to do some jerk mushrooms, because like I say I cook stuff that I can't even eat. So my last like 2 or 3 pop-ups I couldn't even eat the food, but I knew it was good. So,
look, I ain't gonna put you out there, but I still need some fried fish that he been talking about for 6 years.
Fried chicken, etouffee.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, and my cousin moved out here, so we could really pop some stuff.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
So
okay,
she out here now, so we should start selling plates out the apartment.
Look, I'm about to say, look, we'll buy some.
Yeah, let people pull up.
Okay, so first people need to show up for themselves. They can follow y'all at standstill.t, respectfully selfish with Selfish Sundays. Anywhere else? Any website?
And what's your Instagram for people to follow?
Yeah, my Instagram is only ONLY 1 TNIX, and it say like the T cowboy on the side of it. Cause I'm from the South, man. So it's like even before Beyonce and everybody with this cowboy and cowgirl.
I know.
stuff.
I low-key hate putting my boots and shit on now because I'll be like, oh, next thing I just started doing
You feel
this.
what I'm
And
saying?
it's like
and my mom was
fame.
she was
I got cowboy hats from like 1930s and 40s from my grandparents.
I literally have stuff with me in high school. I was wearing boots to school, you know. So it hits a little different for me, but I'm still wearing my hat and my boots, you know, because I can't. And then in LA, you got to be your own person. It's just it's a lot of, you could be in whoever you want to be out here. That's what I like about LA.
Please be yourself.
LA, yeah, be yourself, but this is the best place to really be yourself, because you don't know what you're going to see every day. So
that's real. Thank you so much for joining us. Like Carly said, we got so many good nuggets. Listeners, please connect with T. Find them on Instagram. Let them know how you felt about the episode. Leave comments everywhere on everything you see for Carly's Couch. And thank you, Carly, for inviting your friend on the couch.
Yep. Bye, y'all.
Peace out.